For today's grim adventure, we have something a little bit different. You see, Jessica and I, we travel the world visiting real-life horror locations like famous graves and true crime spots, filming locations, weird roadside attractions, and anything else strange and spooky we can find. But here's the thing. Through it all, with over 1,000 videos we have out there, our #1 most requested video to make, what people want to see us make, is a video on our own personal collection. Things that we've collected over time, whether it's from our travels or here in Los Angeles. So today, that is what you are getting. A special edition Grim Life Collective episode. Enjoy.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.
Wow, this actually looks pretty cool. I feel like I'm on the set behind the scenes, but in my own home.
Right? This is kind of cool, like making a video at home. Now, aside from our personal collection, a lot of people ask us to do like walkthrough tours of our house. Don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't know, we like to keep a few things to ourselves, but parts of our collection we'll gladly share with you guys. Now, Jessica and I, we go to a lot of different conventions. We meet a lot of different celebrities in the horror industry as well as other places, and we work with them. And one of the things we love to get signed is records or Laserdiscs. They're like the perfect square, they're cheap to frame, and they go up on a wall very nicely, right?
Yes, and we both collect things a little differently. Michael loves the larger, the greater posters.
Like UK quads.
UK quads, and
Send
they are
them to me.
beautiful, yes, they're lovely. But I prefer sometimes the smaller prints, or I especially like getting cards signed, and this is where we meet in the middle, the things we both really love and are passionate about.
So, what you're looking at right now is Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz. And we had him sign it. We met him at Monsterpalooza, and he signed it Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. And this was like a very, very, very awesome moment for both of us because obviously, big fans of Ozzy,
Yes.
big fans of Black Sabbath. But I almost cried in front of Ozzy because he picked up a paint pen, a blood-colored paint pen.
Which is a beautiful color.
Right? And he started writing, and then you can see right down here where it says Osborne, it's a little thicker because it kind of pulled, and he looked at me and he went, and I went, I had to fight back the tears, and I was so worried. But then it dried like he signed it in blood.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. This hangs in our living room.
He was an absolute pleasure to meet, by the way. He was so nice, and he greeted everybody, but the table was, I feel, a bit high, so he had to kind of have his hands up on the table to sign things. And if you're familiar with paint pens, you know how disastrous they can be signing anything. And he went, oh, should I just wipe that off? And we're like, no.
Just leave it.
It's okay.
Let it be.
Yeah.
Ozzy touched it.
Ozzy
the
touched
Prince
it.
of Darkness touched it, and it hangs in our house.
And it looked like his signature was dripping blood, which we thought was just such a cool effect.
From the cross.
Yeah. Happy accidents.
Happy accident.
Yeah. Speaking of happy accidents, I got that phrase because of this signature here. This is the soundtrack to Moulin Rouge, and it's signed by Ewan McGregor. Now, when I handed this over to be signed, the helpers take your item and they usually present it to the signer. But Ewan was still talking with a gentleman ahead of us because he'd gotten Ewan tattooed on his arm, which was great. It was a beautiful tattoo, and he went to go sign my soundtrack without asking first where we wanted it. And just as the pen started to touch right up here in the top, about 5 people all at once went, no! He was startled. He was absolutely startled. The unison was beautiful, by the way. We all did a great job. And he pulled his hand back and said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask. And his helpers pointed to right here is where we wanted it signed because we thought that's where it would be easiest to view his signature. And at the end, he was very pleasant, very sweet. He said, you know what, we're gonna turn this into a kiss. That's a little happy accident.
In our collection, we also have the soundtrack to the movie The Crow, and it is signed by 3 different people. The first one being Ernie Hudson, second one, David Patrick Kelly, and the third one, the creator himself, James O'Barr. Now, sadly, we're never going to be able to get Brandon Lee or Tony Todd to sign it because they both have passed on. But for starters, this is one heck of a piece. And I know this sounds like a QVC commercial, but trust me when I say this is not for sale. You're not going to buy it. You're not going to own it. This is ours. And I have a fun story about meeting James O'Barr. You see, we met him in Salt Lake City and got to meet him. I was a little nervous, but I was like, James, Mr. O'Barr, creator of The Crow, big fan of what you do, big fan of what you created. Can you please sign our record? And he said, sure. And I said, please, Mr. James, Mr. O'Barr, can you draw a picture of The Crow? And he said, no, I don't do that anymore. It takes too long. And I went, oh, man. But a funny thing happened. As we were talking and shooting the breeze, he started sketching. And before you know it, he drew that. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm trying so hard to control myself right now.
Impossible.
Everything that we pull out, everything that we show you guys is something that we absolutely love. Movies that we love and people that we've looked up to. And I'm losing my gourd.
Would you like to join me in a calming wolf howl?
No, but I'm sure everybody who's watching, including myself, would like to hear your calming wolf howl.
Oh, okay.
Is it scary?
No, it's comforting.
Okay.
You should join.
Am I going to cry?
No, I'll give you an example. Ready?
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Ow!
It's cute.
I feel better.
And it's perfect. Because this is our Laserdisc of An American Werewolf in London. I know, it sounds like another QVC commercial, but trust me when I say, it is not for sale, people. Stay away. It's ours. Stay away. Oh yeah, it's signed by 3 people. John Landis, the director, David Naughton, and Griffin Dunn. Now you have a story, a fun story involving Griffin Dunn that actually has nothing to do with An American Werewolf in London. Let it roar. See what I did there? We're so cheesy.
Thank you. Now, the connection that it does have to American Werewolf in London is that we met him in England while he was signing this. And while we were there, we noticed that he had things from Practical Magic on his banner and on his table. But I'm a huge fan of the movie. I know he wasn't in the movie. And I go, oh, maybe he's in one of the scenes that were cut. That happens to actors all the time. And you do see those on actors' tables at conventions. But we were almost home on American soil when, I don't know who realized it first, you or me, that Griffin Dunn was the director to Practical Magic. Now, naturally, we saw him not that long ago, actually, and I took a stack of things for him to sign that were Practical Magic. He was even surprised because he didn't know some of these things existed.
Right? I think his exact words, like you were just saying, were, I didn't know that they even made this stuff.
Yeah.
Like you had a Laserdisc from Japan.
A Laserdisc from Japan,
She loves
soundtrack from
Practical Magic.
Japan, American soundtrack, some promotional postcards that on the back said, there's a little witch in all of us.
Now, aside from American Werewolf in London and Practical Magic, Griffin Dunn, his sister Dominique Dunn was the famous actress who murder victim, but he was also in another movie that you absolutely love called...
Once again, I didn't realize that was him because in this movie he has such a baby face. But I saw it on his table when I was getting things signed for Practical Magic that he was also in a movie with Madonna. Who's that girl from the early 80s? He played Loudon.
And that is our next piece of memorabilia.
I can admit to being a fan of cheesy 80s movies. Here's my proof after all. But if I have to be honest, Practical Magic is just a classic, and I think we can all agree on that one.
I think it's like one of 8 that you actually took to Griffin Dunn to have him sign.
I'm a little obsessed.
And that's the Laserdisc. Again, with the Laserdiscs. This time, the movie Carrie starring Sissy Spacek. That's her right there, and she signed it right here. Now, this is a relatively new piece to our collection, and truth be told, we never met her in person. She did a private signing where you can send something in. So of course, who collects Laserdiscs? We do, the Grim Life Collective does. And we sent it to her and she signed it for us. It is beautiful. We just got it back and it's going up on the wall as soon as we're done filming this.
I'm not a pirate. I'm Gage, sort of.
No fair. No fair.
No fair. Now, amongst all the questions we get asked, one of our top 5 most commonly asked questions is, what was a favorite adventure that we've gone on together?
Ooh. Pet Cemetery.
We're often in agreement on that one. That
Yes.
in all of our adventures, the weather was perfect. It felt like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And by perfect, I mean it was freezing, raining, and very, very wet.
It felt like we were in the movie.
It did feel like we were in the movie.
And to be completely honest, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but out of everything we've ever filmed, there's a scene in that video that we shot is my favorite that we've ever filmed on this channel. It's the rock quarry scene. Watch it. Now, we're talking about Pet Cemetery because Pet Cemetery, this is the soundtrack. This is the Mondo soundtrack. Not to the remake. For the original.
By the way, his favorite scene that we shot in our video was my most feared and terrified moment that we had shot in that video.
I do a lot of dangerous stuff.
Yes, he has a bit of a video, but I digress. Look how beautiful this is.
It's signed by the cast. We have Gage over here. We have Zelda. We have Lewis Creed. We have Rachel as well as Pascal. How terrifying is this? It's funny, whenever we met the gentleman who played Zelda, I thanked him for giving me nightmares. But I used more explicit language that I never say on this channel. Instead I say heckins, but I used real nasty adult language. And he was like, wow, that was awesome.
The ground is sour, Lewis.
Yes, we say it all the time.
The ground is sour.
The ground is sour. So everybody's on here. There's a few people missing. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get Fred Gwynn on this, who was the amazing neighbor. It'd be really cool to get the director on here, as well as Stephen King. But for now, if this is everybody, this, in our opinion, is complete. It's a beautiful piece. You can't have it. You're dismissed. I feel like I need like a steak or something in doing this segment. A steak or a cross or something. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not the TV show. The TV show was amazing, don't get me wrong, but it's the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer starring Christy Swanson. And look at this. It's Luke Perry from 90210 in a cool, like, comedy horror role. Now, recently we met Christy Swanson, and she was a sweetheart. She signed it Christy Swanson. That's what it says there, the scribble, it's a signature. Buffy, duh. And then I asked her to sign this, to write this, and she did, and she got a kick out of it. Pike isn't a name, it's a fish.
What I loved about getting her signature was that she actually warns you that her signature is very large. So if you want it smaller, she'll happily oblige. But we're like, go for it, man.
Yeah.
And that's what came about. And I think it's absolutely stunning.
We told her it was okay.
Yeah.
Because pretty much everybody else in the movie, I mean, look up here. Christy Swanson, Donald Sutherland, Paul Rubens, Rutger Hauer, and Luke Perry. Pretty much everybody's passed except for her. So it was like, listen, it's a blank canvas. It's yours. Have fun with it. Own it. And she did. And this is a highlight in our collection as well.
I would have loved to have gotten Paul Rubens on this. His death scene lives on as an iconic moment. If you're a horror fan, you must have played out this scene at least once in your life. Sadly, we can't have him on the Laserdisc, but I actually do have an 8x10 of him as that character that's signed, and they're going to be paired side by side.
Again with the Laserdiscs. How weird are these Grim Life Collective people?
Pretty weird.
I mean, I heard stories. But Laserdiscs? Come on. Now I want some steak.
I would say I've given you a standing ovation, but I was already standing. Does that count?
Now you might be asking yourself, wait a second, I thought the Grimms were a lot more spookier, a lot more strange, like they would have some like horrible, scary looking pictures signed by actors and actresses and directors, and we do. But we also have a special spot in our heart for like nostalgia and movies that we grew up with. And we did a show, well, we didn't do a show, we were at a show where Lou Diamond Phillips, always gonna know him as Richie Valens because of this movie La Bamba. And I have to come over here because he was really cool. I don't have it memorized. I feel like I should. I'm really failing, so I'm gonna come over here. You can see he signed it. Lou Diamond Phillips, Richie. I'm gonna be a star. And stars don't fall out of the sky, do they? I love this piece. I grew up with this movie. I loved it. We talked about Pet Sematary being one of our all-time favorite videos that we've done. The other one that we talk about, because it kind of teeters between both of them, is whenever we did The Day the Music Died, which is the story of Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, and, well, Buddy Holly. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. Again, not for sale. Shoo, move on. Move on.
No, wait a minute. You want to talk nostalgia? I will take you back and talk about nostalgia. This is a movie that I have not watched in over probably 30 years because it's too soon. And I'm not ready for that level of crying. Now, the movie I'm talking about, that I know you do it too, is The Land Before Time. I have not met a single person who has not cried while watching this movie. Now, this is the Laserdisc, signed by the man, the legend, my adopted grandfather, Tom Bluth. I wish. When I got to meet him, and I was telling him how I grew up on the movie, and thank you so much, and I had another stack of many things for him to sign because he's created some of those beautiful pieces of work from my childhood that I am absolutely obsessed about. I started joking how I couldn't remember some of the names as well as I would like because I haven't watched it in 30 years because it was too soon. The hurt was still so strong that he kind of didn't know what I was talking about. And I was like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you're not familiar that every single person that watches this film bawls their eyes out? He was like, no. I was like, listen, we love you. And we are so thankful to be given this beautiful piece of art. But a whole generation lovingly cries during this movie. And while I was telling him that, I mentioned too that when I was a little girl, I wanted nothing more in the entire whole world than to have a tree star, just like Littlefoot, that he said, hold on, don't go anywhere. And he pulled a piece of paper over, and right then and there, in front of my eyes, he drew me the outline figure with shading of Littlefoot holding a tree star. Look, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Listen, I don't even have to watch the movie to cry. I just have to think about the movie and I will cry. It's okay. We can cry together.
Niagara Falls, Frankie. Niagara Falls.
Do you feel better? I do.
Yeah, I think that right about that. Ow! I got a paper cut. Look at that. I guess it's true what they say. By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. That's right, another Laserdisc. Come on, Grim Life Collective, get with the times. But seriously, my favorite story by Ray Bradbury and my favorite Disney horror film. That's right, I said Disney. Something wicked this way comes. Now here's the thing, have you seen the movie Jackie Brown starring Pam Grier or many of her other movies? Did you know that Pam Grier was in Something Wicked This Way Comes? She was the dust woman, the dare I say, beautiful, hauntingly spider woman. Yeah. Met her, she signed it. on our walls. Can't have it. I keep saying it. I gotta let you guys know, you can't have it. Now let's switch it up a little bit. Instead of a Laserdisc, we now have a soundtrack. The music to Children of the Corn. And this is kind of like a gem, like a crown gem to our collection because it's signed by so many different people and it's got one heck of a story. We have John Franklin over here, who was Isaac. We have John Philbin, who was Amos. And we have Courtney Gaines, who played Malachi. Oh yeah, and the director right up here. Ooh, gotta be careful with this one. Now, truth be told, when we got this, I got sad because I realized that Courtney Gaines misspelled his character name Malachi. I was like, listen, Malachi and Children of the Corn is one of the movies that really probably made you famous. Well, that and The Burbs. But this one, Malachi, you should know how to spell that name. And I got really bummed out about it. And then met Linda Hamilton. And she took one look at this and she chuckled. She went, you know what? After 30 years, Courtney Gaines is still misspelling his character name. I don't know how he does it, but he still misspells it. So this one has a very special place in our heart because of Linda Hamilton. He who walks behind the rose cannot buy this record because it's ours. We are at that time of night where we really start pulling out the heavy hitters. Like the crown jewels, the untouchables, the things that shall not be named. Like this. Again, not a Laserdisc. Instead, it is the soundtrack to a movie about a killer doll called Child's Play. Come on, Chucky. Right? Now, we've met a lot of people. It took some time to get this signed by this amount of people. And it is so full, I have to step off camera to look at it, to read it. I'm going to point it out. Right here we have Tom Holland, who is the writer and director. We have Aunt Maggie, who's the first person to die in a Child's Play movie. We have Detective Mike. It's Chris Sarandon. I had to look at that for a moment. It's got a little messy. We got Charles Lee Ray. We have John Franklin, who was the Walkabout Chucky. There's a couple different people that are credited as Chucky in the Child's Play movie, especially the first one. But then right down here, we got Andy himself, Alex Vincent. We actually got two things. We got this and a poster, but we're only showing Laserdiscs and soundtracks. A different day will be posters and other things. I think we need to take a step into the world of the Evil Dead for just a moment. You see, when it comes to the movies, the Evil Dead movies, we either have Laserdiscs or soundtracks or posters, sometimes all three for the movies, signed by different cast members. All of them are signed by Bruce Campbell, who played Ash, but this one is extra special because it's also signed by the guy who played Lord Arthur in Army of Darkness. We did a show with him in Scotland, and it was very, very nice. And I feel very lucky that we have this because I don't think that he does many conventions. Boo. Hail to the king, baby, and Lord Arthur. All right, baby girl. I think it's about time for us to say goodbye. And for this, we save the best for last. It's our Beetlejuice, you guessed it, everybody on the count of three. 1, 2, 3, Laserdisc. That was awesome. I feel like we need a sticker that says, I have a Laserdisc and I'm cool. Or something. But in all seriousness, Beetlejuice, Laserdisc. In my opinion, I know there's Batman, and there's Pee-wee and Edward Scissorhands, but in my opinion, Beetlejuice is probably Tim Burton's most popular movie. The ghost with the most. Thank you for joining us on another grim adventure. And until next time, happy Halloween. Oh yeah, if you find some cool Laserdiscs or soundtracks that you don't want, feel free to send them to us. Boo.
Come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. A bad luck's always a coming